Okay, hello everybody. Hi, how you doing? Welcome to the stream. Should have got some music, really. Never mind. Hello, hello. How's everyone doing? How's everyone's week? So, today it's been a while. Been a while since we did a phone stream, but today we're going to be doing something that we've not done for a very long time, which is I've got a new spider, and we're going to be setting up the enclosure today. So, fair warning for anyone who's not into spiders, this might not be the live stream for you. But that's what we're going to be doing today. It's been over a year since I got Luna, my previous jumping spider, who died a couple of months back. But I've got a new spider today. We're going to be setting up the enclosure on stream. We're going to be getting the spider in there. And obviously I'll be telling you more about the spider as we go. But once again, if you're not into spiders, you might not enjoy today's stream. Not that she's very big. I'll tell you more about the spider when we get into it, but we got a very, very small one today, even smaller than Luna. But we won't start just yet because it's still only 3 minutes past, and I'll wait a little bit longer for a couple more people to join. In the meantime, how's everyone been doing? How's your week been? What's everyone been up to? I've been pretty good. It's been interesting not doing Euro Truck for a change this week. Had a nice day off yesterday, so that was nice. And I'm definitely looking forward to be doing the 2-week schedule from now on as well. I'll tell you what I will do, actually. I will... No, I won't put any music on. We'll be alright without music for today. Hopefully the stream will be exciting enough without it. Okay, I guess we'll get going. We can't sit around and wait all day for people to turn up. People can just trickle in as they normally do. So once again, today I'm going to be setting up an enclosure for my new phidippus nikites jumping spider. I'll show you the spider in just a minute. But we got everything we need here. We've got this enclosure. This is actually the enclosure that I kept my previous jumping spider Luna in. And it's a little bit big for this spider, as you'll see when we get the spider out in a minute. But this is, like I say, this is the same enclosure that I kept my previous spider in. I just kept the enclosure, kept all the bits and pieces, all the foliage and decorations from inside. So all we really need to do is put some fresh substrate in it, and then, you know, put all the decorations back in. Here is the substrate. I'll get that soaking in just a minute. And here's the spider. It's spider time. This is your final warning for spiders. I'm about to show the spider. Here she is. She's in there. So this is a phidippus nikites jumping spider. She's very, very tiny, as you can see. You'll see her a little bit more clearly when we actually get her out of there. But you can see right there, she's a lot smaller than my previous jumper, Luna, who we unboxed last year. We will be getting her out of there very shortly, and we'll be getting her set up into the enclosure as well. But like I say, first things first, I am going to just put the substrate into soak. So we've got the jug, the one and only jug. I'm just going to pop that in there and go and fill this up with water real quick. And then while that's soaking up all the water, I'll tell you a little bit more about the spider, and we'll get the enclosure set up a little bit more as well. So what I'm actually going to do, I'm just going to shift the camera down to here. There we go. I'm going to lower my chair. Ooh, there we are. And hopefully we should be able to keep it at this camera angle for the rest of the stream. So once again, here is the spider. Is there somewhere I can put it where you can actually see it? You could see it there. You could just about see it there. So I will let you guys keep an eye on the spider for just a second. I am going to go and put some water into the substrate so that it can start to soak up. And then, like I say, whilst that's soaking, I'll talk more about the spider, talk more about the enclosure, and about what my plans are for that. Okay, I'll be back in 2 ticks. I'm just going to put some water in here. Okay, the substrate is soaking. You can see it's actually floating, but it'll start to break up in just a minute. So I'm going to put that to one side, leave it for 10 minutes to soak up. And while that's happening, we'll talk more about the spider. So Ellen says, what type of spider is that? 1 second. There we go. So this is a phidippus nikites jumping spider. They are native to the United States and Mexico. Although this one obviously is captive bred by the Spider Shop in Pembrokeshire. Very small species, a lot smaller than jumping spiders that I've previously kept. I've previously kept Phidippus regius, which is like the most recommended jumping spider for beginners. That's quite a large species. I've kept Phidippus ardens, which are quite big as well. And I've also kept Hylas diardi, which is actually the largest species of jumping spider in the world. So very big. In comparison, this one here, very, very small spider. It's not quite fully grown. Probably got a molt or 2 left before it reaches adulthood, but still very, very tiny all the same. We're going to get her out in just a moment. And like I say, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be setting up this enclosure, the same enclosure that my previous jumping spider Luna lived in. And I'll talk more about the size of this enclosure as we go on, because to be quite frank, it's a bit too big. But more on that in just a moment. Let's see. Okay, I'm going to see if we can get her out just for a moment. Bear in mind, she has been travelling. She has been wrapped up in a cardboard box for the last couple of days, so I don't want to handle her too much at this stage. I want to let her get settled in a little bit first. But here we go. Here she is. There you go. She's facing the wrong way. Can I get the camera to focus? We might have to switch the camera around. Let me switch to the front cam for a minute so that you can see her a bit closer. Okay, there she is. Can I get the camera to zoom on her? That's, I think that's as good as you're going to get. That's the best look you're going to get at her. Very small, so the camera's not going to focus on her very well. But there she is. How old is it, says STFC? Most likely a few months, STFC. They don't give the exact ages on the website from the Spider Shop. But she's not quite fully grown, so I would say, you know, a few months, anywhere up to maybe like 7 or 8 months potentially. There we go. What's going to be its name? So I'm going to be calling her Amber. That's what I've decided to name her, but you can probably guess why. This species, very, very vibrant orange colouring. Especially once they reach adulthood, they're orange all over. Right now, she's only really orange on the abdomen, but the legs will turn orange as well once they mature. So I thought Amber was an appropriate name for this spider. The species, once again, is Phidippus nikites. These are native to the United States and Mexico, but these ones are captive bred by the Spider Shop, which is based in Pembrokeshire in Wales. So, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to very carefully pop the lid back on here for now, because I don't want to wander it off. There we go. But you can see she's still in there. We're going to have a very hard time getting the camera to focus on her because she's so much smaller than Luna, my previous spider. But if I pop her there, is there anywhere I can put her where you can maybe... Hold on. I've got a lipstick here. If I put her on top of that... No, oh no, that's a bad idea. Okay, I'll just leave her there for now. And you can... There you go. You can just about see her legs there. Okay. But there she is. We're going to set up the enclosure. I'll show you what we've got enclosure-wise, and then we'll put the substrate in. So once again, this is the medium-sized acrylic flat-pack terrarium from the Spider Shop. They actually do 3 sizes of these terrariums. This one is 15 by 15 by 20 centimeters. They do a larger one, which is 20 by 20 by 25, and they also do a smaller one, which is 10 by 10 by 15. I am actually thinking of downgrading to the smaller one because very small spider, but we'll talk more about that in just a moment. How long can they live for, says Aim Phoenix? Most species of jumping spider live for about a year. Some live longer, some live up to 2 years or even 3. My previous jumping spider was a different species, but she was about a year and a half when she died. Once again, this one, a smaller species, might not live quite as long, but 8 months, a year, maybe longer if we're lucky. We'll see what happens. Do they cost a lot or are they quite cheap? It does depend where you buy from, STFC, but this one here, this Phidippus nikites, was £30, which is not the most... Actually, it might be the most expensive spider that I've bought. I've previously kept Phidippus regius, the regal jumping spider. They're very cheap because you can get them anywhere. They're like 20 quid. But Luna, my Phidippus ardens, I think she was 25. And this one, like I say, this one was 30. It's a much rarer species. There aren't as many of these about, so it's a little bit more expensive. Where did you get her from? She is from the Spider Shop. You can check them out at thespidershop.co.uk. They're based in the UK, and they ship anywhere in the UK. They do breed their own spiders, but they also, sell spiders from other breeders as well. So it really, you can never really predict what species they're going to have in. You've just got to kind of look and see what's available at any given time, which is how I came across this one. They do mostly specialize in tarantulas, but they sell other spiders as well, and obviously other insects like mantises, cockroaches, millipedes, that kind of stuff. So if you're interested in any sort of insect keeping, do check out the Spider Shop. They might have something you might be interested in. How much bigger will she get, says Emma? And STFC says, will she grow to the same size as the old spider or smaller? She will definitely be smaller than Luna. This species does not grow very big. Like I say, she is a subadult, so she'll probably molt once or twice before she's fully grown, but she won't get too much bigger than she is now. I would say, if you live in the UK, I would say she's probably about the same size as a zebra jumping spider, which is one of the most common jumping spiders in this country. I'd say she's probably around about the same size as a large zebra jumping spider, and she's probably not going to get much bigger than that. That's a cute little habitat, says Aim Phoenix. Thank you, Aim Phoenix. So once again, this habitat, a little bit on the big side. I originally bought this habitat for my previous jumping spider, Luna, who was a much bigger spider than Amber here. And I do think this enclosure is probably a bit too big for a spider this size. Like I say, the Spider Shop do sell an enclosure that's a size smaller. It's 10 by 10 by 15 centimeters. So basically fits inside this one size-wise. It's a little bit smaller. I think that would be a more appropriate size for her. So I probably will downgrade to a smaller enclosure at some point. This, like I say, it's a little bit on the big side for a spider this small. Where is it, says Welsh TikToker? She's in here, Welsh TikToker. You won't see her very well at the moment, but she's just at the top there by my index finger in the lid. There she is. Have I missed it? You haven't, Charlie. No, we're just getting to it now. So, the substrate, still soaking, by the way. It's soaked up most of the water, so we'll give that a few minutes more. And in the meantime, let's have a look at the decorations. So we got a few bits of decoration in here. When I bought Luna, we got like a starting kit which had a few bits and pieces in. So these twigs here, this spiral, which Luna of course absolutely loved. She spent a lot of time in there. These two small leaves, and I think the water bowl all came with the starting kit. Oh, I think these did as well, actually. We got this twig here, the knobbly one, and we got this this straight one here. These all came with the starting kit that I got when I bought Luna, but then I bought this separately, the hanging leaves, because when I first bought Luna, she didn't really move around much in the enclosure, and I think it's because she didn't have enough enrichment in there. Because as soon as I bought this, and as soon as I put that in there, she was out all the time exploring. So I definitely recommend, if you do get a jumping spider, get something like this for the enclosure, these sort of hanging leaves, because they absolutely love to play in these and hide in these. Can we see Luna? You can't see Luna, unfortunately. D2 Trap, she's dead. Luna is my previous jumping spider that I owned. She died in May. And I've only just got round to getting a new one, but I had her for about 11 months. So she did quite well, considering she was already fully grown when I got her. But yeah, this is her previous enclosure. If you want to see Luna, I have made a couple of posts about her on my TikTok over the last year, so you can go and check those out. But yeah, unfortunately, she's no longer with us. What about the ground, says Untold News? So the ground, we are going to be putting substrate in there in just a moment. The block is still soaking, so we're going to need to start to mash that up a little bit in a minute. I use dehydrated cocoa fiber substrate, but there are other, you can get like pre-made substrate. The ones that I get, it's literally just a block of coconut fiber. You drop it in water for 10 minutes, mash it up with your hands, and just throw it in there. And it's the perfect ground, nice and soft. No chance of her hurting herself in there. What do you feed her, says Emma? So I feed my jumping spiders mealworms. You can feed them any live food really, as long as they're not too big. The recommended food is usually green bottle larvae, like green bottle fly larvae. But I've always fed mine mealworms. I think mealworms are just easier maintenance. Like, you don't have to really take care of the mealworms. You can just put them in a box and put them somewhere. So I've always fed mine mealworms. Can we see, says Joe? Yep, she's in here once again, Joe. There she is. Oh, she's just above the N on the label. You'll see her a lot better once we actually get her out of there. How often does she eat, says STFC? So they normally eat a couple of times a week. I think because the mealworms are quite big, she might only eat once a week, because like one mealworm will be quite a big meal for her. But normally, with most jumping spider species, feed them like 2 or 3 times a week. Just whenever their abdomen gets quite small, that means that they're hungry. And then once they eat, the abdomen swells up, so that's how you can tell that they're full. But yeah, I would say feed them a couple of times a week and spray a bit of water in the enclosure so they've got something to drink. Do that a couple of times a week as well. Most jumping spiders do like a nice humid environment, so make sure you're spraying water in there and keeping the humidity up. Do they jump? Hence the name, says Wemlock. They do, yes. Jumping spiders are great at jumping. We might see her jump around a little bit once I actually get her out soon. But yeah, jumping spiders, well known for being very good jumpers. Did you just assume the spider's gender, says Einstein Line? I do want to address this, actually, Einstein Line. So the reason that I'm referring to Amber as her is because I'm fairly confident that she is a female. The sexual dimorphism in this species is kind of similar to Phidippus ardens in the sense that the males have a solid orange abdomen and the females have a stripe down the middle of the abdomen. and she's got a stripe down the middle, so I'm fairly confident that she's female, but I can't be 100% certain because she's not fully grown yet. You know, when she is fully grown, she might have she might have the sperm sacs that males have. So I'm not sure. I am assuming based on the markings that she has that she is female. Astra says, I had a lovely PR dens. They're so pretty. I love PR dens, Astra. Definitely, Luna was definitely one of my favourite spiders that I've kept. She was absolutely gorgeous, and I would love to keep the species again in future. But at the minute, I'm trying to like keep a different species every time because I want to try and see all the different species that are available. So far, I've kept P. regius, P. ardens, Hylas diardi, and now we've got this one, which is Phidippus nikites. Can we see the spider, says Hattie? Yes, here we go. There she is. Ooh. You can see her in the lid there. You'll see her a lot more clearly when we actually get her out of there, but she is in there. Do you keep any other kinds of spider? I'm also partial to cobweb spiders. This is currently the only spider I have, Astra. I haven't yet branched out to keeping multiple spiders. We're still going one at a time at the moment. But I would love to get more. We'll talk more about that later, actually, because I was talking about how I was going to get a slightly smaller enclosure, which means that this enclosure will be free. So I may actually be getting a second spider quite soon, and it would be the first time that I've ever kept two spiders at once. So we'll see what happens there. But anyway, we've got all the decorations out. I'm going to push all those to one side. Try not to disturb Amber in her enclosure there. Here's the enclosure once again. This is completely flat pack. You can see that it's all held together with these little rubber bands. This is a flat pack kit from the spider shop. I think they're like 20 quid for an enclosure. Very, very good as well. Like, you can get pre-made ones or you can get glass ones, but this plastic one is really great. It's got a bit of netting on the top to allow airflow through. It's also got plenty of slits in the side to, promote airflow. And the most important thing is that it opens from the side. If you are keeping jumping spiders as pets, you don't want an enclosure that opens from the top because jumping spiders make their webs on the top. You want an enclosure that opens from the side like this. Let's hope it doesn't escape through the slits, says Hattie. Don't worry, Hattie, the slits are far too small for any spider to get through. Okay, but that's the enclosure. Let's take a look at the substrate. This is looking pretty soaked now, so it's hands dirty in time. I've got a towel on standby this time. I've learned my mistake from before. I'm just gonna, get in there. In fact, I'll put the enclosure to one side as well. There we go. Hands in. Possibly might need a bit more water as well. Okay, it looks a bit like black pudding. It's split into two pieces, but it still needs breaking down quite a bit more. So, where's the spider, says Elliot? The spider's in here, Elliot. We're just setting up the enclosure now. I'm just breaking up the substrate block. Oh, it might need a little bit longer to soak, actually. It's still can't quite break up the big bit. Oh, hang on, it's coming. Yeah, there we go. This is a little bit gross, this part, but you've got to be prepared to get your hands dirty. Farming Sim posters are cool. Thank you, Jay. The Farming Sim posters are from the collector's edition of FS25. Is it just mud, says Elliot? No, so this is actually dehydrated cocoa fiber. So basically, literally just the shavings off a coconut. Dehydrated, you soak it in a block of water and then mash it up so that it's a nice consistency. But it does start off as a big old solid block, very tightly packed, so it takes a bit to break it down. There we go, we're getting there. I might need to get both hands in, but I think I'm going to need to put my seat back up a bit to do that. Oh, I'm going up. Okay, there we go. You can still see me. The problem is, now that I've got both hands in, my hands are going to be absolutely filthy. I thought you streamed games. I do stream games, user however many numbers. But I stream other stuff as well. This is just, you know, I'm a variety channel. This is just some of the content you can expect to see from me in future. Okay, it's starting to break up now. There's still a few larger lumps, but it's fairly consistent now. Might put a little bit more water in it and just try and break it down a little bit more. You can see I'm already absolutely covered in the stuff. What are you doing? Says Ari. We are currently breaking up a block of coconut fibre substrate to put in the enclosure. It's either this or buy pre-made substrate, which is a bit more expensive. The substrate blocks that I buy from the spider shop are only £1.20 a block, so very, very cheap. And this is the price you have to pay for the cheapness. You have to mash it up by hand. Is it food? It's not food. It's basically bedding. So the substrate is like the bottom of the enclosure, the dirt, if you like. You can't put actual dirt in there, like from your garden, because there could be any, you know, all sorts of germs and bacteria in there. You want some nice, sterile coconut fibre like this. If you're keeping spiders, coconut fibre is the best option. Obviously, other pets require other materials. Some want tree bark or sawdust or whatever, but spiders, substrate is normally the best option. Or sand, depending on what kind of spider it is and where in the world it comes from. What spider do you have? Says Kieran. I have got a phidippus nikites, Kieran. It's in that little container there, which I can't pick up right now because my hands are covered in substrate. But you will get to see her properly in just a few minutes when we actually get her into the enclosure. Okay, we're really getting there now. Is the spider dangerous? No, definitely not. Jumping spiders are completely harmless. Unless you're allergic to their bites, but they never bite anyway, so there really is nothing to worry about. Okay. What stuff are you making? Says Keza. This is substrate, Keza, so this is basically the base for the enclosure, the dirt that's going to go in the bottom of the enclosure. This is a dehydrated cocoa fibre block, which we've soaked in water. And I think we're just about done with it. Thanks for following, by the way, Keza. Where's the spider? Spider's in that little container there, just in front of the jug. You won't see her very clearly because she's very tiny, but you'll see her more clearly later on. What pronouns do you use? She, her. Thanks for asking. How much did the outcome of everything cost? So, in terms of price, the cocoa fibre block was £1.20. The spider was £30. The enclosure was like £25, and then the decorations and stuff were another £5 or so. So not really expensive. The most expensive thing is the spider itself. You don't need to spend loads and loads of money on an enclosure or on decorations and stuff like that. Especially substrate, like say £1.20 for a block of substrate is exceptionally cheap. Oh. You're selling spiders? I'm not selling spiders, no, I've just bought a spider. She's in that little container there. I bought her from the spider shop, which is based in Pembrokeshire. Okay, I think we're done. I'm going to just try and... Oh, it's got to go all over my desk. Okay, so let me just... Right, I am gonna just head to the bathroom and wash my hands real quick, but the substrate is pretty much done now. I think that's ready to go in the enclosure, so I will be right back. Okay, there we go. I'm clean-handed. Hands are clean. A little bit on that side, but mostly clean. Let me just head back down again. Whoop, there we go. So, I still need to actually put that in the enclosure, so I am going to get my hands a little bit dirty again. But the substrate is pretty much ready now. You can see in there, all that from a little block. The block was about that big, and we got all that substrate from it just by soaking it in water. So we're going to get that into the enclosure now. Then we'll get the decorations in, and then we'll get the spider in. Just get all the dirt off my desk. Does your spider have a name? Yes. So this jumping spider, I have decided to name Amber because she has a wonderful orange colouring. Oh, 1 second. There we go. There we go. How big will it get, says Elliot? Probably not much bigger than it currently is. You can see her in there now. There she is at the top there. Like I say, you'll see her a lot more clearly when we actually get her out of there. But that is pretty much as big as she gets. They are a very, very small species, especially compared to some of the previous spiders that I've kept. Like I say, I've previously kept Phidippus regius and ardens, which are quite big, and I've also kept Hylas diardi, which is the biggest species of jumping spider on Earth. So in comparison, very, very small species, this one. Which is, like I was saying earlier, the enclosure is quite big. So here's the enclosure. There's the spider. The spider is smaller, is about half the size of my fingernail. So very big enclosure for a very small spider. Like I said earlier, what I'm thinking is I may buy the smaller enclosure from the spider shop, which is 15 by 15 by 20 centimeters, and then transfer Amber into the smaller one, and then I could get another spider to go in the bigger one. Because, like I say, I think this one is just a little bit too big for a spider this size. Will it get bigger, says Keza? Not much bigger, Keza. She probably will molt a couple more times before she's fully grown, but she won't get much bigger than that. Like I say, very, very small species. They don't grow very big at all. So, I'm going to pop her there. We are going to now open up the enclosure, and I'm going to start piling on in the substrate. Here it is. So I'm going to be getting my hands dirty again. There's really no good camera angle for you to see me doing this. If I pop her up here for a second, there we go. Okay, I'm just going to start loading it in and try not to get it all over my desk. There we go. I should get a big spoon for that bit, says Keza. Honestly, it probably would be easier to use a spoon, yeah. Oh, look at that! We just got a big dollop of dirty water on the door. I've got my towel. This is the messiest step, by the way. What are you doing, says Riley? At the minute, Riley, we're just popping in the substrate. And what I'm actually doing, by the way, is with each handful that I lift out, I'm actually going to squeeze all the water out so that it's not too watery. We don't want the bottom of the enclosure to just be full of water. We want the substrate itself to be nice and damp, but we don't want it to just be full of water. So what we're going to do is squeeze as much water out as we can. we go. Oh wow, okay, this is filling up quite nicely here, you can see there. But I probably will get the whole lot in. Do you have any other spiders? Says D9. Not at the minute, D9. Like I say, I am thinking I might get a second spider soon, because I want to downgrade this one to a smaller enclosure at some point. But at the minute, just this one. Oh dear. Okay, we're nearly done. Just the tiniest little handful left. Squeeze out the water. There we go. Okay. What's out there? I'm just going to go and rinse my hand off again, but you can see there that we've got all the substrate in and it's filled up quite nicely. Once we've leveled it out, it should be the perfect amount in there. I will be back in just a tick. Okay, here we go. Shouldn't keep a spider in such a small enclosure, says Libby. The spider is less than a centimetre wide. The spider is smaller than my pinky fingernail. This enclosure is too big for this spider, if anything. Don't worry, I'm not keeping a huge tarantula in here. It's a small spider. This is, like I say, if anything, this enclosure is too big for this spider. It's definitely more than enough space for her, don't worry. Okay, so we got all the substrate in. Like I say, I'm just going to wipe the little excess water off. I'm just going to flatten it down. You probably can't see inside the enclosure very well. There we go, that's a bit better. Just going to flatten it down as much as possible. And we don't want to pack it down too tightly because that defeats the object, you know. It's supposed to be a nice, soft, sort of spongy area so that if she falls or anything, she's falling onto a nice, soft bed. So we don't want to pack it down super tight. There we go, that's pretty good. What spider is it? Says J Boquet. So she is a phidippus nikites jumping spider. And you'll get to see her in just a few moments, don't worry. Okay, enclosure sorted. I'm going to go and wash my hands one last time, and then we're going to finally get the decorations in, and then get the spider in. How long have you had Amber for, says Keza? Today, Keza. She arrived today. She's brand new, so I'm looking forward to getting her into a new home. But yeah, this is, I bought her last week. She got delivered this morning, and we're getting her into a new enclosure straight off. Okay, I'll be back in 2 seconds. This is the final time I'm going to wash my hands, just get off the last of this substrate, and then we'll start putting in the decorations. Okay, here we go. You say the spider is a girl, but it's not. It's a boy, and you're trying to change its gender. Samuel, this is a spider. It has no gender. It's not a boy or a girl. It's a female. Spiders do not have a concept of gender. Anyway, the enclosure is ready. We're going to start putting the decorations in right now. I'm just going to make sure there's no little bits of substrate stuck up the sides, which has happened a little bit from, you know, splashing it all around in there. But we'll just do this. Okay, and I think we are ready to go. So, decorations. We have, first of all, the most important thing, the hanging plant. Like I say, these are very good for jumping spiders. They love to climb on these, sleep in them, hide in them. So definitely recommend getting something like this if you are keeping a jumping spider. We've also got these two smaller leaves, which are from a decoration kit from the spider shop. You can see this one's actually got quite a lot of shit on it. So these are from my previous jumping spider who lived in this enclosure, and people, funnily enough, not a lot of people know this. Spiders do actually shit, and those tiny little dots there, that's spider shit. So there's a little bit of crap on it, but it's not going to do any harm to the new one. I just thought that was worth pointing out. This one got a little bit on it as well, but not a big problem. And then we got a few twigs. We got this long, thin one. We got the spiral. My previous jumping spider, Luna, she absolutely loved this spiral. She lived in it all the time. Maybe this one will like it as well. We'll see. We got this long, knobbly twig, and we got just a straight, smooth bit of tree bark. And, of course, we got a little water bowl as well. So, let's begin with the hanging plant. And I want to arrange it a little bit differently to last time. Before we had the hanging plant on the back, but I'm thinking of putting the hanging plant on this side this time. So let's get that in and see how it looks. Let's go there. Oh, the suction pad doesn't want to suction. That's not a good sign. There we go. There we are. Might put it a little bit further back into the corner, actually. If I put the sucker down a bit... No, actually, we want the sucker higher, don't we? Oh, God. This is really fiddly, actually. Oh, come on, stick. Oh, God. This is really fiddly, actually. Oh, come on, stick. Oh, the suction pad doesn't want to stick for some reason. Why nothing real, just plastic, says Ben. So it's actually not recommended to put living plants in with a spider, because the plants have their own maintenance requirements. If you're prepared to do the maintenance on the plants as well, then fair enough. You should definitely not put plants from the garden out there. You shouldn't put plants from your garden in here, because it introduces bacteria to the enclosure. You need to wet the suction pad a little. Hold on, we might have it. Okay, it doesn't appear to be falling. There we go. I'm happy with that. So we've got the big hanging plant in there. What spider did you get? Says Jack Edits. We have a phidippus nikites. She's just in the lid there. Hold on. There you go. Oh, there she is. We'll be getting her in the enclosure in just a few moments. No gaming today. Not today, Imran. No, we're setting up our new spider enclosure today. Right. So the other two leaves, I'm thinking we'll just have one here and then one at the back. What does the spider identify as, says Archer? The spider doesn't identify as anything, Archer. It's a spider. It's not a human. It has no concept of human gender. What do you feed them, says Ellie? So I feed my spiders mealworms. You can feed them fly larvae and small crickets and things like that. But I've always fed mine mealworms. Can you take them out, says Sib? Yes, you can handle jumping spiders quite easily. Obviously, be careful with them. You don't want to drop them and injure them or anything. But they're fairly easy to handle. Why such a big cage for a tiny spider, says Joe? The reason for the larger enclosure is this is actually an enclosure that I kept my previous jumping spider in. And I wasn't expecting to get such a small one this time. But I will probably be downgrading her to a smaller enclosure at some point, because, yeah, this definitely is too big for a spider this size. It hopefully won't do her any harm, but she should be alright. The risk, by the way, with putting spiders, especially jumping spiders, the risk of putting it in an enclosure that's too big is that, that it has the potential to injure itself if it falls from a certain height. This species normally lives in scrubland, so it's not really as good of a climber as other jumping spider species. So a slightly shorter enclosure would be much more suitable. And like I say, I probably will get her a smaller one at some point, but this will do for now. Okay, we got all the leaves in there. It's looking pretty good. Just the twigs now. What if she hides in the leaves, says Ellie? She probably will, Ellie. They do love to hide in the leaves, especially the hanging leaves on this side. Like I say, jumping spiders love these hanging leaves. I've kept pretty much all of my previous jumping spiders have had these hanging leaves in their enclosures, and they absolutely love them. Can you get out? I will be getting her out in just a minute. She's still in there, but we'll be putting her in the enclosure very soon. So for the twigs, I'm thinking we'll have a long one along here. Maybe tuck it under the leaves a little bit on this side. Hold on. Oh. There we go, something like this. That's it. Oh, but hang on, actually. Let me put it under here as well. There we go. We'll go for something like that. Right, next up, I might leave the spiral out, actually. I don't know if we're going to have room for the spiral with the way that I've gotten it set up right now. I am going to definitely put this back in, though, in the same place as I had it before. One second. Down there, maybe? Yeah, let's go for that. How big will it get, says Jack's Edits? She won't get much bigger than she is now, which is just under a centimetre. Very, very small species. Okay, there we go. Looking good so far. I have made a bit of a mistake, actually, because there's quite a big space at the back here. And I think it would be perfect to have one of this last twig at the back. But it's going to be really hard to get it in there now that we've put all of this other stuff in. Should have probably put this one in first. I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll take out the long one. There we go. And then we'll try and tuck this in. There we go, that looks pretty good. You won't see it, says Henry. They wander around a lot, Henry. She will wander around the enclosure a lot. That's why you've got to put so much stuff in it, so that they've got, so that they can explore. You don't want to just put them in an empty tank because they do need enrichment. If you just put them in an empty tank, they'll just sit in the corner and be miserable and probably not live for very long. You've got to give them, plenty of places to climb, plenty of places to explore. Okay, there we go. Pretty much everything is in right now. The only thing that's not in is the spiral, but I think I'm going to leave the spiral out. I'm also going to tuck the water bowl into this front corner. There we go. This is always a pain in the ass to get in because it needs setting down into the substrate. Okay, there we go. That looks pretty damn good. So if we look at it from this angle, not bad. Maybe a little bit heavy on the right-hand side and a bit empty on the left, but I think for now, I'm quite happy with that. So we're probably going to get her in now. Hopefully she is going to like this. What substrate do you use, says Ellie? I use cocoa fibre, Ellie. I get it in dehydrated blocks. £1.20 a block, so very, very cheap. Okay, there we go. I just want this leaf to not be stuck behind this other leaf. I think we're good to go there. I think I'm pretty happy with that. So I'm just gonna. Is there a spider in there? There isn't. There will be a spider in there in just a moment. We're going to get the spider out now. But like I say, the enclosure I'm fairly happy with. I think I think there's plenty of spaces for it to hide, plenty of space for it to run around and explore. Maybe not 100% perfect, but I can always rearrange it a little bit off camera if necessary. But I think we're going to get her in there now. I think I'm ready to get her in there. Is the spider fast? Says Ellie. No. Not fast at all. Jumping spiders aren't particularly fast. Obviously, they do jump, so you do need to keep a bit of an eye on them. Make sure they don't jump out of the way, but they're not very fast. Excuse me. What does it drink? Says Chris. So it normally they drink water droplets. If you just spray a little bit of water on the side of the enclosure, they'll drink the droplets off it. There is a little water bowl, but I don't really like putting water in the bowl because I'm always a bit paranoid that she could fall in and drown in the water bowl because very, very small spider. But I just find spray a little bit of water on one side and they lick up the droplets of water, and that keeps them more than hydrated enough. Okay, we're ready. We're ready to put Amber in her new enclosure. So let's get her out. Where is she? She's on the lid right now. We turn this upside down. There she is, as you can see. So I'm hopefully we'll try and handle her for a little bit before she actually goes in. So I'm going to pop the enclosure. I'm just going to push this back a little bit. There we go. That's looking good. I am very happy with that. Like I say, it's not absolutely perfect, but I think she'll enjoy that. I think she'll have plenty of fun in there. It's tiny. Is it expensive or rare? They are fairly rare, Phidippus nikites. They're not the most common jumping spiders. This was £30 from the spider shop. Okay, let's get her out. Get her out. Let's open her up. Hello, darling. Okay, so here she is. Just in the lid here. Oh, let's get her a bit closer. The camera is probably not going to focus on her. We'll try and use the front-facing camera and see if you can get a bit of a clearer picture of her with that, because it's really hard to see her on the selfie camera. Let me just switch the camera around real quick. There we go, that's better. So you can see there, very, very small spider. Let's see if we can turn her around and see her eyes. Hello, darling. Hello. Oh, baby. Why is it not crawling off, says AAC? So she will be a little bit stressed out right now because she has been, wrapped up in a parcel. She came from Wales, so she's had a long car journey in the back of a Royal Mail van. So she is going to be a little bit stressed out. She probably won't eat for a couple of days until she properly settles into her new enclosure. You can just see her cleaning her pedipalps there, or cleaning her chelicera, sorry. I'm going to see if we can get a slightly closer look. Oh, there we go. What shop is it from? So I got her from the Spider Shop, which is based in Pembrokeshire. The species is native to the United States and Mexico, but she was captive bred by the Spider Shop. So she is actually a Welsh girlie. She was born in Wales. How big will she get, says Hillary Clinton? Not much bigger than this, Hillary. So she will get a little bit bigger. She's got a couple of molts left before she reaches adulthood. Hold on. It's going out of focus again. But she won't get too much bigger than this. Oh. I'll tell you what, though, she is absolutely gorgeous. By far the smallest jumping spider that I've kept. But she is absolutely gorgeous. Hold on. Let me show you the markings on her abdomen. There we go. She's got that beautiful white stripe with the little black patches down the back. Oh, she's absolutely lovely. Is she fast once she starts moving, says Bluebell? They're fairly fast, but like I say, not particularly. They're not particularly speedy species. Juvenile, says Ellie, she's actually subadult. Like I say, very small species, so this is actually a subadult. It's not a juvenile. When she's in the box, you won't be able to find her. Don't worry about that, AAC. They love to wander around. She'll definitely be somewhere that I can see her. They do tend to go to the very top of the enclosure as well. So she'll probably make her nest in the top corner of the enclosure where it will be very easy to see her. Do you own loads of spiders, says Joel? I don't, Joel. This is currently my only spider. I tend to keep them one at a time. So I've kept a few, but I normally keep one at a time. So, like I say, she is currently the only one. And she's a good girl, not coming out, says Keza. Yeah, she's not quite ready to explore and see what's going on outside the cap. Will you ever get her a friend, says Jack? So you can't really get spiders friends, Jack. The only time really that you'd introduce another spider into the enclosure is for mating. And of course, spiders famously eat each other after mating. Well, the female eats the male after mating. Or at least tries to. Oh, she is so gorgeous, though. She's barely moved. Like with Luna, my previous spider, as soon as I opened the thing, she ran and hid in a corner. But she's just sat there. Like she's not running away. She's just sat there. Oh. Okay, can we? I don't want to scare her. I don't want to scare her, but I do want to try and handle her a little bit if possible. Okay, I'm just going to pop her back just a little bit. There we go. Is there a benefit to a larger enclosure than standard, says Freddy? No, it's actually disadvantageous to have a large enclosure. You can see here's the enclosure, and here's the spider. So this definitely is a bigger enclosure than she's really supposed to have. The biggest... hold on, let me flip the camera back around. The biggest problem with having a big enclosure is the potential for her to injure herself. They do climb a lot, and they do fall a lot. So there is a risk of her falling from the top and injuring herself if she does that. This enclosure is a bit more suitable for a larger species like Phidippus regius, Phidippus ardens. I definitely want to get a smaller enclosure for her just to be on the safe side because, like I say, if she fell from the top, she could seriously injure herself. And if she does that once she's reached her final molt, there's no way for her to heal. So for her own safety, it's probably better to give her something a little bit smaller than this. But this is the best thing that I've got at the moment, and she will be more than comfortable in there until I can get something a little bit more suitable. She's still sat there, by the way. Look, she's still looking at me. Hello, darling. She hasn't even moved at all. Oh. I am going to have to coax her out of there in a minute because we'll never get her into the enclosure if we don't get her out of the cap there. Where'd you get the enclosure? The enclosure is from thespidershop.co.uk. It's flat pack acrylic. You just put it together. It's just a few pieces of plastic and some rubber bands. But it holds together very well, very strong. I kept my previous spider in this for almost a year. No problems. They also do different sizes. This is the medium-sized one, so they do one a size smaller and they do one a size bigger. Like I say, I want to get the smaller one for this spider, but this is just the one that I had on me from my previous spider. Where's your other spider, says Ellie. I don't have any other spiders at the minute, Ellie. My most recent spider, Luna, died in May, a couple of months ago. And I haven't had any other spiders since then. So this is my first spider that I've bought in a while. And I'm going to try and get her into the enclosure in just a moment because I really do want to see her in there. She just doesn't want to come out of the lid though. Look at that. Oh, come on, darling. You're going to have to come out. Okay. I can't really... I'll tell you what I'll do. I'm just going to get a little pair of tweezers because I don't want to injure her too much. So I'm just going to get the end of a pair of tweezers and just gently poke her behind. There we go. Come on, darling. Oh, she nearly came out then. Come on. She really doesn't want to come out of there. Come on. Like I say, I don't want to injure her, so we got to be very, very careful. Come on. There we go. There we go. She's coming out. She's coming out. She's out. Oh, she's on my hand. There she is. Oh, hello. Hello, darling. Oh, look at that. There she goes. Okay, I'm going to switch the camera again. Oh, there she goes. Okay, I do need to be very careful that she doesn't jump off of my hand, though, because we have got a solid desk down there, and I don't want her to injure herself. She's just... Oh, there she is. What breed of spider? So she is a Phidippus nikites jumping spider. Ignore my incredibly hairy knuckles. I'm sorry. I can't help it. Oh, look at that. Okay, I think we're ready to get her in the enclosure then. So I'm going to open it up. There we go. And we're going to try and pop her in. Go on, darling. Oh, is she going to go? Oh. No. Oh, nearly. Come on. There she goes. Oh, and she's in. She's in. Oh. Okay, we're probably going to lose sight of her almost immediately. But she is in. Let's close this up. Oh, you can see her there at the top. Let me try and put the enclosure somewhere that you're not just going to see the light reflection. There she is. In fact, we'll open the door back up. There she is, straight to the top. Okay, there is a tiny little bit of cobweb up there, probably from Luna. I'll try and get that out very carefully. Sorry, darling. Just get that out of the way. There we go. Oh. And she's happy. Wouldn't you benefit more from real plants, says Declan? No, Declan. So it's not the best idea to put real plants in there, especially not ones that you've picked yourself. Definitely don't put plants from your own garden in there, because they can introduce, unwanted bacteria and stuff like that, which can be very harmful. You can put some live plants in with spiders, but you need to be very careful with them and make sure that, you've got to bear in mind that the plants themselves need maintenance as well. And putting a plant in there is going to affect the soil composition, it's going to affect the humidity and all sorts of other things. So the safest option is to just go with fake plants. There's really no advantage to putting real plants in. The spider doesn't eat the plants, so it really doesn't matter if it's real or fake. It just needs to be, some surface for her to walk around on. Oh, there she goes. So she seems pretty happy at the minute. Let me come down here again and see if we can get her from below. There she is. What will she eat, says Declan. So she'll mostly eat mealworms, Declan. You can feed jumping spiders quite a few different foods, but I've always fed mine mealworms. I'm going to have to get some smaller ones, though, some mini mealworms, because she's a much smaller spider than I've previously kept. But yeah, mealworms will be perfect for her. Okay, let me just sort the net out at the top. There we go. Okay, let's see if we can get her from the top again. There we go. Or you can just about see her eyes if you look very carefully. Why is the spider so small, says Finley? It's just a very small species, Finley. This species doesn't grow much bigger than this. So once again, this is a phidippus nikites jumping spider. They're about the same size as the zebra jumping spider, which is a common spider in this country, but she is native to the United States and Mexico. The only problem is, now that she's in there, it's really hard to get a good shot of her, Oh, that's good. Oh. It's really hard to keep the camera steady when I've got to hold it this close to her. Okay. You can zoom in on your screen and then put two fingers. Yeah, I know you can zoom in, but the quality's not as good when you zoom in. Okay, but in any case, she is now in there. You almost definitely won't be able to see her right now, but she's up in this... Actually, you can see her. If I... Oh, there. There she is. You can just about see her right there. So she's in the enclosure, and hopefully she'll be quite happy in there. Like I say, it'll take a couple of days for it to get used to it and to, get settled in. But she'll be enough right now. Okay, let me just move this back a sec. Does she bite? Says Finley. No, Finley. Jumping spiders don't bite. You have absolutely no risk of being bitten by a jumping spider. And even if you did get bit, none of them have medically significant venom. So there's absolutely no worries on that front. And like I say, they'd never bite anyway because they're very, very friendly spiders. It's just never going to happen. Okay. Um, what else do we need to do? I guess I'll put the tweezers away. We're done with those now. There we go. And we got a little bit of cleanup to do. I've still got this jug full of substrate water, which needs clearing out of the way. And again, we didn't actually put the spiral in there. I think she'd be better off without the spiral because my previous jumping spider, Luna, she didn't come out of this spiral. Like, she went straight in there and she never came out again. She loved to be inside the spiral. I don't really want her to be in the spiral all the time because then I never get to see her, so I'm going to leave the spiral out for this one. She's got plenty of stuff in there anyway. If we just open this again so that you can actually see inside properly, you can see there's plenty of plants in there for her, plenty of branches and stuff like that for her to climb on. I think, she's going to be sufficiently enriched, she's not going to get bored. Like I say, with spiders, it is important to give them enrichment. Any pet animal needs enrichment. Even stupid animals like spiders. People say, well, it's a spider. It doesn't care. They do care. You do have to give them enrichment. If you just put a spider in an empty enclosure with substrate and nothing else, they'll just sit in the corner. They won't eat and they'll just die. You do need to give them enrichment. You need to give them places to hide, places to climb, places to explore. And I think we've given her plenty of that here. She's just wandering around the top again right now. She's probably not going to come down at the moment. The other thing about jumping spiders, they love to stay near the top of the enclosure. That's why this enclosure has a door on the side that doesn't go all the way to the top. So there's a little bit of a lip in the top there, because they do spend a lot of their time right at the very top of the enclosure. Anything can get depressed, says Ricardo. Exactly, Ricardo. Genuinely, I think people underestimate that, that animals do have emotions, not like human level emotions, but all animals can be stressed out if they're kept in the wrong environment. You do need to look after them. You do need to keep them safe and make sure that they're suitably enriched. And she seems pretty happy, like I say. Right, 1 second. There we go. Do you have to keep her at a certain temperature and humidity, says Ellie? No, actually, Ellie. So that's another great advantage to jumping spiders, is they're very resilient to changes in temperature and humidity. There are a few requirements, but generally speaking, if you just put the enclosure next to a window, I normally put my enclosure right next to my bedroom window. So in the summer, she gets plenty of sunlight. If it gets too hot, I can open a window so that there's a breeze through. But yeah, the enclosure itself really regulates itself temperature-wise and stuff like that. It lets in the right amount of heat. It makes sure that it stays humid as long as you mist it a few times a week to keep the humidity up. There really aren't that many requirements to keep it safe. Compared to certain other spiders, especially a lot of tarantulas and stuff like that, sometimes they have a lot more requirements, like they have to be kept at a certain temperature, the humidity has to be the exact right amount. Jumping spiders, they're a lot less fussy, like I say, she'll probably be fine in there without any special temperature or light or anything like that. So she'll stay in there, and hopefully, once she's settled in, she'll enjoy it. Where is she? She's still on the top corner, still on that top lip. Can you show us how you'd spray it? I can, Ellie, yes. So I'll go and get my spray bottle now just to show you how that works. I'm probably not going to actually spray it today because we've just put the substrate in, and obviously we soaked the substrate in water, so that it's already going to be very humid in there from us just having put the wet substrate in. But in a few days' time, when it starts to dry out a bit, then I'll spray it for the first time. But I'll go and get the spray bottle now just to show you how it looks. Okay, here we go. Literally just an ordinary spray bottle, like bog standard. You know, just press it down and it sprays a little bit of water. You can get these for like 50p. You know, they're very, very cheap. Literally, all you do is a couple of times a week, spray a little bit of water on the insides of the walls, and that will give her enough water to drink. She'll drink the droplets off the side, and it'll also keep the humidity high enough for them to be comfortable. You left it open, says Ellie. Honestly, you don't have to worry too much about keeping the enclosure open for jumping spiders. They're not big escapists. A lot of other species, a lot of other spiders are, especially tarantulas. Tarantulas, as soon as the enclosure's open, they're gone. But jumping spiders, they once they're settled into their enclosure, they really don't try to escape that much. You know, she knows that she's going to be safe in there, and she's not really going to try and escape from it. She'll be happy enough to stay in there. You can easily, like on a hot day, for example, if it's getting really hot and humid inside there, I'll open the door and just leave it open for a couple of hours, and they really won't even try to get out. Like I say, once she's in there, she'll be very happy in there. Looks kind of small, says Frosty. The enclosure or the spider, Frosty? The enclosure's actually very big for the spider because it's a very, very tiny spider in there. I'll just bring it closer a little bit and see if we can spot her again. She's currently just there. There we go. Oh, no, she turned around again. What have you named this one, says Dre Dog? So this one is called Amber. I've called her that because of the colour. Very, very vibrant orange colour. So when they're newborn, this species, they're a sort of translucent yellowy colour. But then as they get older, they become a more solid orange with black markings. So you can't see it too much now. She's got a little bit of orange on her abdomen, but once she's fully grown, she'll be orange all over. Really bright, vibrant orange. So that's why I called her Amber. Oh, okay. I'm not going to try and handle her again today because I don't want to stress her out too much. But I will try and get a couple more shots of her if I can before we start to finish up. Let me flip my camera around and bring it back over here. Okay, there she is, up top again. You can see, like I say, she'll probably hang around the top for a few hours because she'll not quite be ready to explore properly yet. So she'll just stay up there until she's ready, and then she'll start to come down and explore a little bit more in between the leaves and stuff like that. I think... Oh, she's cleaning herself at the minute. There we go. She's moving again. What sort of spider is it? Says Dan. This is a Phidippus nikites. So they're native to the United States and Mexico. And they're about the same size as the zebra jumping spiders that we get here in the UK. It's tiny. Did you find it or buy it? I bought it. So she cost me £30 from the spider shop. How long do these spiders live, says Ellie. About a year, Ellie. Most jumping spider species tend to have that lifespan of like a year or two, sometimes a bit longer. she seems happy enough, you know. Like I say, she won't start properly exploring until she's settled in a little bit more, but she doesn't seem to be having much trouble, you know. Why only a year? That's kind of sad, says Frosty. It is very sad, Frosty. Um, my previous jumping spider, Luna, she died. She was 11 months. Well, I'd kept her for 11 months before she died, but I was still absolutely devastated. You know, the thing is, any pet, even if it's a pet that only lives for a year, it's still always a shock when they do eventually go. And even though I know she won't live for very long, it's still going to be, you know, it's still always hard when it does eventually happen. But it won't happen for a while yet. She's brand new. We've only just got her, so she's got plenty of mileage in her. Oh, she's coming down. Is she going to go onto the leaf? No, she's back up on the ceiling again. Oh, hello. Absolutely gorgeous. I think she might be starting a web. Looks like she might be putting a web in this top corner. Yep, you'll see her pacing back and forth. That's because she's just starting to lay the groundwork for a web. So this corner here is probably where she's going to set up her enclosure. And jumping spiders, they're not big web makers, but they'll make themselves a little sort of hammock, usually in one of the top corners of the enclosure. So that's probably where she's going to set her hammock up. The black and white jumping spiders you find in the garden are friendly, says Ricardo. They are, Ricardo, yes, and they're a very similar size to this as well, the zebra jumping spider. Oh, she's coming down. Oh, she might accidentally escape. I think she'll probably learn though. She'll probably learn where the door is, and she'll know not to build a web over the door because it will just get destroyed whenever the door's opened. But again, that's why there's a little bit of a lip. The door doesn't go all the way to the top. There's enough space at the top above the door for her to make a web. Are there any non-friendly spiders in the UK? Says Unmarked Fail. There's a few spiders that are fairly territorial and fairly defensive. There aren't really any spiders that can do you much serious medical harm, though. Probably the most serious is the false widow, but even that has like a much scarier reputation than it actually is. You know, it's not actually as dangerous as people make it out to be. There really aren't any spiders in this country that can do you any serious harm. Well, she seems pretty happy. I have a megaphobia of spiders. These don't bother me, but anything bigger and I'm off, says Ricardo. Honestly, Ricardo, I was the same a few years ago. I used to be massively arachnophobic. I used to be terrified of spiders. But keeping these as pets has really helped me get a new appreciation of spiders, and I wouldn't say I'm totally okay with them now, but I'm a lot less scared than I was. I'm a lot more comfortable handling spiders now. And I think jumping spiders have definitely helped me to get over my fear quite a lot because they're just so adorable, you know? It's the big house spiders that scare me, says Emma. Yeah, I'm not the best with house spiders. Because they're very fast. That's the thing, I'm not a big fan of fast spiders. And house spiders are notoriously speedy. Get yourself a tarantula, says Dan. So actually, Dan, I do want to own tarantulas one day. It's definitely something that I want to do. I want to kind of work my way up to it. I think jumping spiders is a very good place to start if you want to get into spider keeping. But eventually I would like to, one day own some tarantulas as well. In fact, there's even a couple of species in particular that I have in mind. I'd love to keep a cobalt blue tarantula. I think they're absolutely gorgeous. But yeah, we're not quite ready for tarantulas yet. I think this is more than enough for me for now. Yeah, she's definitely making a nest in that top corner. Like I say, you'll see her pacing up and down, but she'll keep going back to that same corner because that's where she's going to build her hammock. Personally, me, I'm petrified of them, but still nice to look at through my phone, says Dan. Yeah, fair enough. I think a lot of people are like that. A lot of people are like, I'm scared of spiders, but I think they're really interesting. And that's how I was. I've always been scared of spiders, but I've always thought they were really fascinating as well. And like I say, that's really what led me to start keeping them and to, understand them a bit more. And I'm definitely a lot more comfortable with spiders since keeping them as pets. Honestly, I could just stay here for hours and watch her wandering about, watching her making webs. But we're not going to do that. Can you put real plants in with her, or are fake plants safer? Fake plants are safer. You shouldn't really put... Oh, hold on. Is she going to accidentally escape? She's going to accidentally escape. No. Head back in, darling. Go on. No. That's it. Go back. Go. Go on. Hello. Yeah, no. Hello. Back. Oh, she's coming out. She's out. There we go, our first escape. Hello, darling, you shouldn't be out here. Oh. Okay, I'm going to have to put my phone down for a second while I get her back in. There we go. Come on, darling. That's it. Down you go. Down. You go. Go on. There we go. She's back in. There she goes. Oh, she disappeared under the leaf. There she is. She's a lovely colour, says Emma. She is absolutely gorgeous colour. We're probably going to lose her in a minute. I'm going to close the door just to be safe because she's gone down underneath the leaves now. She'll be a bit harder to spot. Oh, there she is. She's making her way back up. Oh, where did she go? Oh, she's down there. She's fell. She's had her first fall. Yeah, she'll make her way back up to the top. But that's pretty much it for today. We've seen her. If I turn the enclosure this way, she's just down in the bottom corner there. Oh, she's on her way up. I don't know if you can even see her on the stream. There she. Oh, there. Oh, look at that. Perfect. There she is. Yeah. Well, I think we'll probably leave her to it now then. I think she's, best leave her to just settle in. She seems to be happy enough in there, so we'll just leave her to it. Like I say, give it a couple of days because she'll still be quite stressed out until she's properly accustomed to the new enclosure, but seems like she'll be fairly happy in there. Oh, Luna loved to perch on top of this stick as well. I think she probably will be the same. You can see her just resting on top of there right now. Oh, she's giving herself a little clean. Let's see if we can get one last shot of her in the enclosure before we put the enclosure in the window where it belongs. There she is. Oh, that is... Hang on, push it back a little bit. Oh. Oh, my camera doesn't want to focus. There we go. She's cleaning herself. Cleaning a little chelicera. Oh. Honestly, she's just absolutely beautiful. I'm so looking forward to having her, she's absolutely amazing. Thank you for showing us. No problem, Emma. I will keep you updated about her as well, like I did with Luna. I'll occasionally post videos and photos and stuff like that, just to let you know how she's getting on. But it shouldn't take her too long to settle in now. Oh, my camera. It's really hot. Oh, look, she's looking at us. Oh. It's really hard to get my camera to focus on her because she's so small. Oh, look at that. She has the sweetest face, says Elle. She really does. Honestly, I think jumping spiders are the cure for arachnophobia. I've met so many people who are like, I'm terrified of spiders, but jumping spiders are really cute. And I genuinely think jumping spiders could end transphobia, end arachnophobia once and for all. Look at up she goes. What is it? Says Ben. She is a phidippus not ardens, phidippus nikites jumping spider. I think she's trying to get back to the top again. It might be a little bit slippery in there because we've just put the fresh substrate in, so the humidity will be quite high. How much bigger will she get, says Scottish Modding? Not much bigger than this, Scottish Modding. She's not quite fully grown. So she'll probably molt once or twice more, but she won't get very much bigger than this. Oh god, the camera's gone out of focus again. It is genuine. It's so hard to focus on her with the camera. Okay, she's back in the top corner. Oh. Why aren't you gaming today, says Corbin? Because this is more important, Corbin. I love video games, you know that, but I also love my spiders. I have other hobbies outside of just playing games. Oh, okay. So I think that's probably gonna do it for today. If anyone wants to ask any questions about the spider before we finish up, then go ahead, or any general spider care related questions. But the enclosure setup is finished for the day now, so we're probably not going to be streaming for too much longer. I wonder if I open this, will you be able to see her? Oh, you can just about see her way up in that corner there. There we go. How many do you have, says Scottish Modding? Only one at the minute, Scottish Modding. This is my only jumping spider. I have kept a few jumping spiders before, but I tend to just keep one at a time. So I've previously kept Phidippus regius, Hylas diardi, and Phidippus ardens. This is the first time I've ever kept this particular species, Phidippus nikites. But I am thinking about getting another one quite soon as well, because most spider keepers will keep multiple spiders. It's most people don't just keep them one at a time. So I would like to get more at some point soon, but at the minute she's the only one. Can you even see her on the stream? I genuinely don't know. Oh, hello. She is absolutely amazing, though. I've said that about 50 times, but I just can't get over how cute she is. Okay. Like I say, I think that's probably going to be it, unless anyone has any other spider-related questions they want to ask. I'm by no means a spider expert, but I have kept a few spiders over the years, and I've gotten to know the basics of spider care. So if there's anything you want to ask me before we finish up, by all means go ahead. But I think we're pretty much finished with Amber for today, so I'm going to go and put her enclosure in the windowsill where it's going to stay. Like I say, they don't require too much maintenance in terms of humidity and temperature. You can pretty much just stick the enclosure in a windowsill and they'll get enough light and heat from that. So that's what I'm going to do. And like I say, hopefully, a few days, she'll settle in. She'll get her hammock built. Exciting stuff. I'm looking forward to this. I'm very, very much looking forward to finally having a spider again. It's been a while since we last had one. Okay, so I'm going to go and pop her in the window. Let me just flip the camera and I'll show you where she's going to go. So she's going to go on top of that little cabinet there, which is where Luna previously went. So let's get her over there now. We're going to take you to your permanent home now, darling. Here we go. Maybe hold on. Let me pick up the enclosure first and then grab my phone. I wouldn't want to drop the enclosure. That would be the worst thing that could possibly happen. But we got her here. I'm going to pop this here. There we go. And there she is. She's still in that top corner. Oh. This is not spider related, by the way, but I've got a new shelf. I just thought that was worth mentioning. I've got a new shelf so that I've got more space for the Lego, but that's not related to this particular stream. There she is. Okay, I think we can probably leave her to it now then. She'll settle in. Like I say, it'll probably take her a couple of days till she's properly comfortable in there, but I think the best thing to do is just leave her to it. Now you have a spider? Yes. Once again, this is Amber. She's a phidippus nikites. Just got her today. We've just set up the enclosure, and look at that. She'll be very comfortable in there. That's definitely, like I say, if anything, it's a bit too big. What I really need is something more like this size. This is a little glass greenhouse with an aloe vera in it, so obviously I can't put her in there, but something that sort of size would be a lot more appropriate. So she's not going to stay in this enclosure forever, but I think this one is more than enough for her for now. She'll be very comfortable in there. So yeah, let's just leave her to it. Okay. That's pretty much it for today. So we've seen the new spider. Oh, hold on. Let me just put my chair up. Oh, there we go. So we've seen the new spider. Like I say, I will keep you updated on her, like I did with Luna. So expect to see videos, photos, that sort of thing, as she continues to grow. And again, if you have any questions about spider care, if you want to get into keeping spiders, if there's anything you want to ask me, you can do so now before we finish the stream, or feel free to DM me if you want to ask any questions about getting into the hobby, outside of the stream. Where are you from? I'm from Belgium, Flanders, says Davies. I am from Doncaster in the UK, Davis. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I've got a little bit of cleanup to do. We've still got this jug of dirty substrate water, which needs cleaning out, so I'll probably do that. And then I need to find a home for the little container that she came in. If ever I need to take her out of the enclosure to clean it, or to change the substrate or anything like that, it's good to have this little container just to keep her in temporarily. Got air holes poked in the top already, so I'll keep hold of that as well. But that's pretty much it. That's pretty much all there is to say and do today with our beautiful new jumping spider, Amber. How big will she get? Says E1S1 SZ. She won't get much bigger than she currently is. So she is currently just under a centimetre wide. So she's about the size of my pinky fingernail, a bit smaller actually. She won't get much bigger than that. It's not a very big species. Like I say, if you are getting your first jumping spider, you're better off going with a larger species because they're easier to care for. Something like a Phidippus regius or Phidippus ardens, very good place to start. But yeah, this is a much smaller species. She won't get much bigger than she is now. She will molt a couple of times before she's fully grown, but she won't get much bigger. Let me just get the rest of the dirt off my desk. That's the only thing as well. The substrate gets quite messy, so you do tend to end up with little specks of dirt everywhere. That's why I prepared a towel this time. Oh no, don't. Oh shit, I've shook the towel onto my bed. Now I've got substrate crumbs on my bed. Lovely. That's pretty much it for the spider section of the stream. Like I say, if anyone wants to get any final questions about Luna or any questions in general, let's do a brief Q&A portion if there's anything anyone wants to ask. But we'll probably finish up about 5 o'clock today. So, can I see it quickly? Says Charlie. Yes, Charlie. Did you not see her earlier? I can show you the spider one last time before we finish up. You might have missed the reveal bit, but we'll go over and see her one more time. Hiya, Jess. How are you doing? Let's go see where she is now. Oh, there she is. Hello, darling. Oh, I think she's looking at us. Oh. What will you feel it? What will you feed it? Sorry, says Thing I Crack. Oh, so I feed my jumping spiders mealworms. There are, they can eat pretty much any live food as long as it's not too big for them. A lot of people feed them green bottle casters, so like fly larvae, or some of the larger species can eat small crickets and stuff like that. But I find mealworms are the easiest. You can get live mealworms from anywhere. They're one of the most popular live foods for pets in general. Lizards, amphibians, basically anything can eat mealworms. So any pet shop that you go to probably has live mealworms in stock. So it's just a really cheap and easy food to get your hands on. So I've always fed my jumping spiders mealworms. Can you regularly get her out, says Jess? Hopefully, Jess, yes. They don't mind being handled too much, as opposed to something like a tarantula, which is a lot, you shouldn't really handle them very often. Jumping spiders don't mind being handled. Obviously, you shouldn't do it too much. It can stress them out if you do it all the time. But they're not too. They're quite comfortable being handled. So hopefully I'll be able to get her out a little bit more than Luna, because I very rarely got a chance to get Luna out of her enclosure. She was very shy, much more shy than usual for a spider. But hopefully Amber here will be a little bit less, a little bit more outgoing. She might let us handle her a bit more often, because I would love to do videos and streams and, stuff like that and show her on camera as much as I can. Hi, Tyler, GTA VR, how are you doing? I'd be worried I'd lose them, says Jess. You do have to be very careful when you're handling, that you keep a close eye, especially, this is good advice for spider handling in general. If you're handling any spider, whether it's a massive tarantula or a tiny little jumping spider, the best piece of advice is to do it over a soft surface. Spiders are really fragile. People don't realize, again, even big tarantulas, that the abdomen is just like a big grape, basically. If you squish that, they're dead. And a lot of people injure their spiders by accidentally dropping them onto hard surfaces, so you should always, whenever you're handling a spider, you should always keep them as close to the surface as you can. Don't be holding it way up here. Make sure you stay close to whatever surface you're holding it over. Ideally, hold it over a soft surface like a pillow or a sheet, a towel. Don't just go walking around holding it like 3 feet off the solid hardwood floor in your house, because if you drop it, it's dead. Spiders are more fragile than people think. You do need to be delicate with them. What happened to Luna, says Jess? Luna died, Jess. Luna died back in May. She was about 11 months old. Well, I had her for 11 months before she died, so she was probably about a year and a half. So she had a good lifespan. She had a pretty much average lifespan for a phidippus ardens, but it was just her time, unfortunately. She passed away in May, and I haven't had any spiders since, but now we got Amber, and like I say, I'm really excited. I'm looking forward to keeping a spider again, and hopefully even keeping some more very soon. I will update you if I do keep any more, but like I say, at the minute, my thought process is I'd like to get a slightly smaller enclosure to put Amber in, and then get a new spider to put in the current enclosure, so that way I could have 2 spiders at once. So I'm not 100% sure what's going to happen. I have still got my eye out for a phidippus morpheus. You may recall I was saying a while back that I was interested in getting a phidippus morpheus, which is similar sized to phidippus ardens. So hopefully, if the spider shop gets those back in stock quite soon, I would happily buy one of those. And then, like I say, we can relocate Amber into a slightly smaller enclosure and then put the new spider in the current one. But for now, I'm happy with 1 spider. Sorry, not been fully caught up. Bless her. Thanks, Jess. Thank you. She wasn't in any pain. You'll be happy to know. She pretty much just died. It wasn't. what happens with spiders usually is they start to slow down a lot. Like they won't eat, they won't drink, they start to go really grey and lose all their colouring, and they're really slow and sluggish. They can't climb properly and stuff like that, which is always very sad to see. For Luna, though, she kind of just died. Like, I just woke up one morning and she wasn't alive anymore. And I'm kind of glad, that she just died rather than, getting slow. Rather than slowing down and being in pain. I'm glad that it happened quite quickly. But yeah, it was still sad to see her go. It's sad to see any pet go, whether they live for a year or 10 years. It's always sad when a pet dies, You gaming today? Not today, no. I love spiders. Sorry to hear about Luna. Thank you, Archie. Thank you. But we do have a new spider now. We have entered the Amber age, and I'm looking forward. I'm hoping Amber is going to be a very pleasant spider to keep. I'm very much looking forward to keeping you updated on Amber. I might post a few photos of her in the next few days, actually, because not everyone has managed to catch the live stream. So probably in the next few days, I might post a few photos of her on TikTok if you haven't had a chance to see her today. But yeah, she's so cute. She's absolutely gorgeous. Really looking forward to looking after her. Have you always liked spiders, says Lee? I haven't, Lee, no. I used to be terrified of spiders. I had really bad arachnophobia. Like, to the point that if there was a spider in the bathroom, I just wouldn't go in the bathroom at all until one of my parents, usually my dad, took it out. I used to hate spiders so much. But then at the same time, I've always thought they were really interesting. So it was kind of like a morbid fascination, I was scared of them, but also thought they were pretty cool, pretty fascinating. So eventually I decided to get a jumping spider as a pet, and try to get over my fear that way, and it really worked. It really, like I said earlier, I think jumping spiders are the cure to arachnophobia. I've known so many people who say, I hate spiders, but I love jumping spiders. I really think if you've got arachnophobia, try getting a jumping spider, and it might help you. It will probably help you get over your fear. They're really cool. They're really easy to look after, and they're just so amazing. What game is it today? No game today, CA. In fact, we are going to be finishing up in just a few minutes. So if there's any final questions anyone wants to get in, now is your chance. I've never been keen on spiders, not too bad around small ones, says Lee. Fair enough, Lee, fair enough. I think size definitely plays a factor, which is bizarre because anyone who keeps tarantulas will tell you that so many species of tarantula, like so many big, massive tarantulas, are just completely harmless and docile. But I get the fear. I get the, bigger equals scarier kind of rationale. And it's not necessarily a bad rationale to have. Generally, bigger animals tend to be more dangerous than smaller ones. But yeah, it's always funny because there are so many big spiders that are just completely harmless. I'm just here. Can I see the spider? Says Danny. I can show the spider one last time before we finish up. Yes, let's go over and see her one more time. So she's over here in the newly set up enclosure. There she is. See if we can get a shot from down here. There we go. Like I say, I will post some photos as soon as I can because it's not really that easy to see her on the live stream. I'll post some nice close-up photos so you can get a proper look at her. But she's a beautiful orange colour. She's orange, or the abdomen's orange with a big stripe down the middle. She's very, very cute. Does it get bigger, says Aaron? No, Aaron, she won't get much bigger than that. She's almost fully grown, so she'll have 1 or 2 molts, but she won't get much bigger at all. What spider is it, says Military for Life? She is a phidippus nikites, which is a jumping spider native to North America, found widely in the United States and Mexico. But it's not very commonly kept as a pet jumping spider, which is why she was a little bit more expensive than some of my previous spiders. She cost me £30. But more than worth it. More than worth it. She's absolutely gorgeous, and I'm very much looking forward to, like I say, showing her off on stream a bit more in future. Do they have venom? Not venom strong enough to harm a human. No, don't worry. There is pretty much no medically significant jumping spider. In fact, I don't think there is a single medically significant jumping spider. Certainly not her, anyway. She'll not do you any harm. Can I see your spider, says Chappers? I've just shown it, Chappers. I'm sorry. We're not going over there again. But I will be posting some photos later in the week, so don't worry. You'll get a chance to see her quite soon. But I don't want to keep disturbing her. Like I say, we've only just put her in there. It's her first day here. We'll let her settle in for a little bit before we start, stressing her out too much. So I think that's where we're going to leave it for today. We've been going for nearly 2 hours. We've got the enclosure set up. We got the spider in there. I'm pretty happy. She's really great. I'm looking forward to keeping you updated on her. If there's no more questions, we'll finish things up. I guess that's no more questions then. So, let's finish up by telling you what I've got planned next. So next live stream is going to be Farming Sim on Friday. Do bear in mind we're on a 2-week schedule now, so that means there won't be any Minecraft or Farming Sim next week. But this week I'm going to be doing Farming Sim on Friday, and on Sunday I'm going to be starting Abe's Odyssey. And then next week we're going to do Euro Truck, Factorio, and Train Simulator. You'll get the hang of the new schedule. It'll take a couple of weeks to get into the swing of it, but we are on that new schedule now. Like I say, next stream will be Farming Sim on Friday. In the meantime, if you have enjoyed, please do follow. Check out all my links in my bio, Discord, Instagram, wherever else. And as always, shout out to my wonderful Patreon supporters. Thank you very much to Kate. You can't see it because I'm going to have to flip the camera for a second. I hate flipping the camera because I don't like how I look this way around. Oh God, it just makes no, I don't like that. But thank you very much to Kate, Jess, Danny, Riley, P, Charlie, and Dan. Thank you all very much for supporting me over there. I'm going to flip the camera back around now because I hate looking at myself in that way around. Thank you again, everyone, for supporting me over there. If you want to join the Patreon, there's a link in my bio. It only costs £1 a month. You get access to behind-the-scenes content as well as a shout-out on stream, so worth checking out if you're interested. But if not, that's absolutely fine. Thank you for joining all the same. Like I say, if you have enjoyed, please do consider following, and I will see you on Friday for Farming Simulator. That's everything. Goodbye. Enjoy the rest of your day. Enjoy the rest of your week. There will be more spider updates to come. Don't worry. We won't forget about Amber. There'll be plenty of photos, plenty of videos and stuff like that coming in the near future. So if you are interested in the spider-related content as well, don't worry. There is going to be more of that to come. That's everything. I'll see you on Friday for Farming Sim. Enjoy the rest of your day. And bye-bye.